السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks belongs to Allah. And we ask Allah to send His finest peace and blessings upon the last prophet and messenger sent to mankind, Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is a pleasure to be here with you today, and it is very motivating and inspiring to see the youth in their huge numbers coming to attend and to listen. And I hope that although you guys are going to make sure you have fun this weekend, but that you also take notes, that you learn, that you memorize. I pray and I hope that whatever you have learned over this weekend, you share it with friends, you share it, you post it, you make statements and you inspire others, those who are not able to make it. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of our efforts for the speakers as well as those who have traveled from far distances, so that we may gather together to remember Allah and to perfect our religion and to perfect our Islam. Ameen. The topic that was given to me to deliver this day is Tazkiyah An-Nafs, the purification of the soul, or the purification of the self. And it is similar to what the previous speaker mentioned about Tazkiyah to Qalb, the purification of the heart. And rightfully so, the Shaykh, he said that the purification of the heart and the purification of the soul are different. For you and I, the general person, reading this, they would say, how can they prepare two speeches speaking about purifying the heart and speaking about purifying the soul, when we are so used to referring to them as being one thing? We are so used to saying that and thinking that we should purify our soul, that we should purify our heart, but certainly there is a major difference between the two. As it relates for Tazkiyah An-Nafs, purifying the self, this word, nafs, it has two meanings in the English language. One meaning is the self. The nafs is referred to being the self. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ, and remember your Lord in yourself, meaning in your mind, meaning whispering the names of Allah and mentioning the names of Allah to yourself. But this word nafs also, it is found in the Quran and in the Hadith, the word being translated as soul. So even if we translated that ayah, وَاذْكُرْ نَفْسَكَ وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ, remember your Lord in your soul, the meaning would not change much. But the Quran approaches this word nafs from two angles. The first is what I mentioned, that the word nafs, it means to refer to oneself. And I mentioned the ayah, that you should remember Allah to yourself. But the second meaning is the one that we want to emphasize on today. And that is the nafs and the types of nafs that is found within the human being. For the nafs are in three different types. The first type being nafsul ammara, and that is the nafs that is commanding, that is the nafs that is overwhelming. And there is a reason why I am not translating the word nafs and I'm using it in its Arabic term. And as I mentioned to you these three categories, I will use it and refer to it as its Arabic term is found, as nafs, because the English language cannot fully translate what the word means. For there is a difference. It would be incorrect for us to say that nafs it means soul. Why is there a problem in that translation? Because the nafs is not the soul. What is the soul that Allah has placed in the human being? What is the word for soul? For spirit, the ruh. The ruh. The human being is made of a flesh, and he is also made of his spirit, his ruh. But the nafs in itself, the closest word that we can come to translating it would be the ego. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the nafs in the Quran, Allah is addressing the ego. Allah is addressing that part of us that calls us to our desires, that calls us for lust, that calls us for anger, that calls us for pride and arrogance. So when Allah is asking of us and speaking to us and addressing our nafs, Allah is not addressing the spirit of the human being, but He is addressing that ego that is found within the human being that needs to be purified. Thus, we have the topic Tazkiyah An-Nafs, purifying the ego, purifying the self. And as I mentioned, the nafs, they come in three types. The first of which is nafsul ammara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, quoting the great Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, Inna nafsa la'ammaratun bis-su'. That certainly the nafs, it calls us to do evil things and evil deeds. And so nafsul ammara is the soul, is the nafs that is overwhelming, meaning it is that desire to do whatever you wish. When the human being feels that he wants to commit a sin, he will do it regardless. This individual has a nafs that is ammara, that is ordering him to do things. He is under the command of his ego. He is under the command of his desires. He is under the command, or she is under the command of her lusts. They are under the command of their anger. They are under the command of their passions. And this is not the type of nafs that we want to have. Why? Because if we follow our desires and our lusts and our angers and our passions, then it will lead to our destruction. Although we live in a society that glorifies that. We live in a society which says, do what makes you happy. Follow your heart. Whatever your heart desires is good. And you see, they try to make it beautiful by mentioning the word heart. Because when we think of the word heart, we think, hey, whatever the heart desires, it must be good. It's coming from the heart. And so because of this, we raise the society in which they believe that whatever they feel like doing, they have the right to do it. But this is the nafs. And as the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he mentioned that the nafs, it calls to evil always. What is the context of this ayah? For those of you who are familiar with the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, we know that he was taken as a slave and he served in his master's home. And we know that his master, the Aziz, was away one day and the wife of the Aziz tried to make a move on Yusuf alayhi salam because of his beauty, because of how handsome he was. But did Yusuf give in to her? Did Yusuf give in to these desires? No. He said that jail is more befitting to me than what she is calling me to. Why? Because she was calling Yusuf for zina, illegal relationships. And so Yusuf was put in prison. But years later, when the king of Egypt decided that he was going to let him out, Yusuf said, I refuse to leave from prison until my name is cleared. Bring the women that made the claim against me. And so the king ordered all of the women to come. And in this surah to Yusuf, they all mentioned that Yusuf was free and was innocent, and he never made any moves towards the wife of the Aziz. And even the wife herself said that I was the one who lusted after him, but I found him to be truthful. And then Yusuf alayhi salam mentions this ayah that I mentioned. Yusuf said, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي. And I do not say that my soul is free, meaning when she made this approach to me, for she was a woman of beauty and she was a woman of wealth,
something in my soul wanted to respond. Something in my soul wanted to respond. Yusuf is young. And this beautiful woman, this attractive woman, this woman that has power and position and money is interested in him, a slave. He said, I will not say that my soul is free, that I did not want to do something. And then he mentioned, An-Nafs la'ammaratun bis-su'i, for certainly the nafs, it is always calling the human being to do evil deeds. Illa ma rahima rabbi, except for whom my Lord has mercy upon. Meaning that although the nafs is consistently calling us to do evil deeds, to be lustful, to follow our desires, to be disobedient to the Creator, there are those whom Allah protect and who are not at the whims of their nafs, and those who are protected from having nafsul ammara, a soul or a nafs that is commanding upon them. And so this is the first type of nafs that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from being from among those who possess such a type of character and disposition. The second type of nafs is the nafsul lawwama. So the first is nafsul ammara, and the second is the nafsul lawwama. And this nafs is found in Surah Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. How many of you have recited this ayah? How many of you have memorized this ayah? How many of you were aware that Allah is speaking about the second type of nafs that is found in the human being? Allah says, I swear by the day of judgment, and I also swear by the soul, by the nafs that is self-reproaching. What does that mean? I take an oath by the nafs that is self-reproaching. Nafsul lawwama is the nafs, is the self that is self-reproaching, that is self-incriminating, meaning a person may fall into sin, a person may do an evil deed, but after they commit that evil deed, they feel guilty. They self-reproach. They feel like they have committed a big crime. They feel that they have done a major sin, and they become remorseful because of it. And this, I believe, is 95% of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Those who are trying to practice this religion and those who are striving, those who are struggling and making an effort to pray their 5 daily prayers and to fast the month of Ramadan with the sincerity that it demands, and those who try to attend the lectures and try to make it for Jumu'ah every Friday to hear that reminder because they know that Allah has commanded them to do so, yet and still they fall into sin here and there. Yet they make sins and they make mistakes. You find that the Muslim, at a minimum, should possess nafsul lawwama, a self that is consistently criticizing what you are doing. And so the signs that you have this type of nafs is that whenever you commit a sin, you feel guilty. And that guilt leads you to making tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That guilt leads you to seeking the repentance and the forgiveness and the maghfirah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is the type of nafs that we should strive to have. And those who, when they commit sin, feel nothing, they are the ones that need to worry and need to work towards bettering and being strict upon themselves. Which leads us to the third and final nafs. And that is the nafsul mutma'inna. Again, there are three types of nufus, selves. The first is nafsul ammara, and that is the commanding nafs, that which calls you to do evil, that which calls you to your desires, that which calls you to your lusts. The second is nafsul lawwama, and that is the individual who, when they commit a sin, they feel guilty, they feel remorseful, and they want to change, and they want to do better, and they want to make tawbah, and they want to ask for forgiveness. And the third is nafsul mutma'inna, and certainly this is a nafs that is not found in the majority of the people. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this nafs in the Quran. Allah says, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. That at the time of death, those who have died upon Islam, those who have died with a pure and clean heart, a heart that is saleen, those who have certainty, those who strive to stay away from the evil deeds, the angels will descend to them at that time and will say to them, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna, O soul, O individual who was mutma'in. What is mutma'in? It is a self, it is a nafs that is content. It is a nafs that is tranquil. It is a nafs that is at peace. This type of soul does not call the individual to do evil deeds. This type of nafs does not find any pleasure in the disobedience of Allah. Rather, this individual has trained himself or herself and has disciplined himself or herself to only seek pleasure in that which Allah has permitted. And this is found in a little bit of our numbers, meaning this type of nafs is not something that is found within the people, but it takes time to develop. No one is born in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that as they get older and they seek the temptations of the world, that they are born and they do not want to play in any of the things in which Allah has been prohibited. Each and every one of us, as we become older, we become more aware. As we grow into ourselves and we hit puberty, we become tempted with the dunya and with everything that is in this life. But the person who strives for Allah's pleasure, they will make themselves disciplined. They will try to purify their nafs to reach a level and a state in which they only find pleasure in doing that which Allah has permitted. And when they are called to do evil, and when they are called to the disobedience of Allah, they stay clear from it. And they move away from it. And they try to protect themselves from falling into Allah's displeasure and into Allah's anger. So how do we acquire this tazkiyah to nafs? How do we purify and perfect our nafs so that we may reach the level of nafsul mutma'inna, the soul that is content? It takes discipline. First and foremost, it takes for you and I to realize that our nafs will call us to do evil. And so when we recognize that it is within us to do evil, there is only one person that we can go to for help to reform us. And that is that we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we make dua. Oh Allah, make my nafs a nafs that is mutma'inna, that is content and tranquil with what you have ruled. Make my nafs in line with what you want. And do not allow my nafs to control me. Rather, grant me mastery over my nafs, over my ego. Do not allow my desires to control me, my lust to control me, my anger to control me, my emotions to control me. Oh Allah, grant me control over it and grant me protection from the evil within it. First and foremost, we turn to Allah. But the second thing that we must do, and I will end with this, is that we must be harsh upon ourselves. We have to hold ourselves accountable to establishing the 5 daily prayers. Hold ourselves accountable to striving to fast, the Sunnah fast, Mondays and Thursdays, or the 13th, 14th, and 15th of every month. It's like a person that is going into a fighting match. He has to train before he goes into the ring. And if you believe that if you can just make dua and your nafs automatically becomes one that is easy and one that will work with you, you are deceiving yourself. You must turn to Allah with sincerity and ask for this type of nafs, the nafs that is mutma'inna, but you must also follow it up by waking up and praying that fajr, by staying up and praying the isha, by listening and being obedient to your parents, by being respectful to the elders in the community, by striving and pushing forward although you are busy with school, although you are busy with life, but making time to go to the masjid to listen to the lectures so that you may learn, so that you may grow, so that you may benefit. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all of us and to grant us a nafs that is mutma'in, a nafs that is content and tranquil and at peace. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم.